Today, I'd like to welcome Megan Hayward from Mimi Moon Meno, who is our specialist in menopause. Welcome, Megan. My first question for you today is, what is your core area of expertise, your zone of genius that you bring to your students or clients?
My zone of genius is menopause, and I am obsessed with helping women to stay employed as they navigate the hormonal changes of the menopause transition. So my own personal experience was misdiagnosis, multiple redundancies, and various other challenges that I faced through getting to a diagnosis. And I want to ensure that women do not have to go through that same process that I went through as they're navigating their hormonal transition of menopause.
What is your professional background, and what was your aha moment that led you to become a coach or a trainer in this field?
My professional background is actually construction, development, and interior design. And essentially, I'm a project manager. Then I've gone on to study menopause, and I've become a licensed certified menopause expert through the UK Menopause Experts Group. And the aha moment for me was realising that there's not really anyone that's helping women to navigate the hormonal changes of menopause in the workplace. And I went, well, I've got all these credentials. I understand how corporate places work. I've worked in executive roles. I've gone through experiences. And why don't I bring together all of the things that I have, my MBA, my Masters of Applied Project Management, my menopause expert training, and transform that into something that's really going to help women and businesses navigate the hormonal changes of menopause.
My next question is, what makes you the blue unicorn in your field, or what is your superpower?
Blue unicorn and superpower, I think, is my unflinching honesty, because I am not afraid to talk about anything to do with a woman's menopausal transition, whether that is in her personal life, in her work life, whatever it is. We need to normalise the conversation. And I know through my own personal experience that if you beat around the bush, it doesn't help anyone. You just have to be honest with what you're experiencing so that you can put the steps in place to get where you need to be and get the support that you need.
What industry myths or misconceptions do you love to challenge through your training?
No one wants to talk about menopause is probably the biggest one. I hear that regularly from people. And as a matter of fact, I'm always surprised at how many men want to talk about menopause in the workplace, because they either are married to a woman that's going through menopause right at that moment, or they're watching women in their lives, whether it's work colleagues, friends and family, navigate that transition, and they actually feel stuck. They don't know how to have the conversation. So when someone says no one wants to talk about menopause, that's a woman's issue, men don't want to hear about it, I'm like, actually, men do want to hear about it. And more importantly, men and women want to hear about it together, so they have a shared language of how to communicate about menopause.
If you could speak directly to one person in a company who truly needs what you offer, who would it be? What would you say to get their attention? And why are they the person who needs to hear it first?
So the person I would like to speak to is definitely the HR manager, or the person that's in charge of getting wellbeing initiatives underway in the workforce. And the reason I want to speak to them is because businesses are dealing with turnover disputes and lost knowledge in their midlife staff. And we all know how frustrating it is when you lose your key staff who just get the job done and all their skills and knowledge go with them, or those same staff start to create issues in the workforce that weren't previously there. And I'm referring to disputes. Now, the reason that might happen is because they could be dealing or navigating depression and anxiety for the first time, and insomnia, both of which are very early symptoms of perimenopause. So I like to think of menopause coaching and training in this way, particularly when you look at it from a construction point of view, having been the industry that I've worked in the most, is you wouldn't let someone onto your work site without the right safety gear. So menopause training is actually safety equipment for the mind and body. And that's why I'd like to speak to the HR and wellbeing people in those businesses.
Can you share a moment or story where you knew your work had made a real difference, something that captures why what you do matters?
Yes, absolutely. So I was approached by a manager at Pathology SA in South Australia, and literally she came to me and said, there's something up with my team. She said there'd been a shift in the last 6 to 12 months with her mostly female, mostly midlife staff, herself included. She was pretty sure it was to do with perimenopause, but she didn't know how to bring it up. So I worked with her to tailor a lunch and learn session to break the silence, shift the culture, challenge stigmas, and create a culture of support. The outcome was a psychologically safe environment to openly share experiences without fear of being labelled or judged. She came back to me and said, following my meeting, there was a shared understanding that changed the way everyone in the organisation engaged with one another as women. And now we are working on a vision for their future and what it means to be a fully menopause organisation. So I knew that I'd made a difference when I got that feedback that the culture had changed around menopause.